X er verdensomspændende og altomfattende. En universal instans, der overvåger vores verden. En verden, der dag for dag vokser sig mere kompleks. X tilbyder de mekanismer, der skal til for en vedligeholdelse og forbedring af verden. X er derfor bestandigt i udvikling, bestandigt i udvidelse, bestandigt på vagt. Det er en ære at arbejde for X.
Hej.
Hej, Nicolaj. Hvad er det?
Det er fransk. Det er ikke ulækkert.
Nej, det kan jeg så ikke lide.
Nå, du spurgte selv. Der er også noget, der hedder franske tunger.
Er det anderledes?
Ja, det er så lidt mere fornemt, ikke? Så lidt. Men det her, altså det er jo en delikatesse. C'est délicat.
Så delikat.
Det er vigtigt, at vi lærer hinanden ting, ikke? Jeg vil virkelig gerne lære dig at kende.
Nå, men jeg går på mit værelse.
Har du en kæreste?
Ja,
Hvordan vil du beskrive forholdet til din kæreste?
som en svamp. Nogle gange er vi tørre, andre gange er vi våde.
Kan du godt lide børn?
Nogle børn, ja. Mange interesserer mig slet ikke.
Vil du gerne have børn selv?
Ja, men ikke før om lang tid.
Hvad vil du sige, hvis jeg fortalte, at din kæreste er gravid?
At du lyver,
Og hvis det var sandt?
så vil jeg blive glad for, at min sæd er funktionsdygtig.
Hvordan vil du gerne bo, hvis du får børn?
I en villa i 2 etager og med en have omkranset af en ligusterhæk, der vil sørge for, at jeg ikke skal bekymre mig om folks blikke. Jeg vil gerne kunne være nøgen i min have, bade i min have.
Synes du, at gravide kvinder kan være sexede?
Nej,
Hvor vil du gerne rejse hen lige nu, hvis du kunne?
enten ud i rummet.
jar a or an or no article. And this is the symbol we will use meaning no article, so you don't say or an before the noun. Okay, this is a problem that is actually very common for new speakers of English, especially when it comes to writing and speaking. So this is a production problem. So I have a few sentences here, and I'm going to explain the rules to you about when you should use a, an, or no article whatsoever. Now keep in mind, this does not cover the word the. There are actually lessons on angvid.com that will help you with that as well. And I recommend checking those out after seeing this lesson. Okay, so we have a sentence here. My family has dog, and an apple is bread. First, let's look at this first sentence again. My family has dog. Okay, so the first thing we need to identify here is that dog, the noun dog. Can you count dogs? Is it a count noun or a non-count noun? If it is a count noun, meaning if you can say 1 dog, 2 dogs, 3 dogs, 4 dogs, then if it's in the singular form, so just 1 dog, but you can count more, but it's only 1, you have to use an article. Okay, so you can't say my family has dog. You have to say my family has a dog. Okay, and here, an apple is bread. This is a general statement. You're making a generalization about a common noun. Here, the common noun is an apple. We can also say banana is yellow. Okay, so when you're making a generalization about a generic noun, or if you want to call it a common noun, then you would have to use an article as well. Okay, so the rule that we can put here is that you can use it for singular count nouns. Generalizations. So these are generalizations, just mean general statements. Okay, so let's look at the second set of sentences here. So we have, I like to drink water, and I enjoy eating apples. Okay, so can you count water? If you have like a bathtub full of water, waters, 3 waters. No, water is a non-count noun. You cannot count water, just like you cannot count electricity. Electricity is another example of a non-count noun. You can't say 1 electricity, 2 electricities. It's all electricity. Okay, so in this case, we're looking at water, right? So I like to drink water. No, when you have a non-count noun, you do not use an article. You do not use a or an indefinite article. Okay, so you just say, I like to drink water.
じゃあ、どうだった？よかったね。
broken glass, broken lives, Irish. Hear that! Sometimes silly ideas look good in the end, eh? If anyone has any sense of dissatisfaction about manners or otherwise, the way this documentary is introduced in the first place, is that Irish matters have never been very, very mannerly, because our nearest neighbour, England, have subjugated the Irish for 800 years and continue to do so by playing games with their occupation in Northern Ireland. They say it's peace and so forth like that, but they are still there, and they should get the hell out of there and leave Ireland to be united and amongst themselves. A lot of people in the world never even heard of the British, never heard of the British Black and Tans. There were prisoners in prison in England, criminals who were enticed to wear British uniforms for the price of freedom. They came across the Irish Sea and they subjugated the Irish to the most atrocious atrocities. My own grandmother, she got the lick of a rifle from a Black and Tan because she wouldn't answer any questions about where my grandfather was and where Dr. Ryan was. I know of another instance where the Black and Tans went into a farmyard near my mother's family homestead in County Kilkenny, and the woman was 9 months pregnant and about to give birth, and the Black and Tans riddled her belly with bullets. The Black and Tans always thought that they could take down the Irish, but the more you push the Irish up against the wall, as the Black and Tans did, we took more of them down than they could take us down, because that is the history of the Irish, and it will always continue until Ireland is free. I had 4 granduncles run out of Ireland by the Black and Tans. It was wished or intended that 4 of my granduncles should have been priests, but it didn't end up what it was meant to be or hoped to be. The introduction of a saga to the story is that my cousin that wasn't a priest ended up his days on the Bowery in New York City on a police captain's pension. And then there's the other granduncle who was a priest. I don't even know his name, and I have no clue of what became of him. In fact, I don't even know the name of my granduncle who ended up as in charge of Trinity College, Sioux City, Iowa. This is the loose ends of Irish history brought by the bastard invasion of England on the Irish. Whether it's in Australia, New Zealand, Canada or America, the British pushed us into a lot of sadness and family disconnection, because I only can name 2 granduncles of 4. The one that was a police captain was John Phelan. The one that was rector of St. Joseph's Rectory in Ottawa was Father Pat Phelan. 2 names lost. Lost for what? Lost forever, because the Black and Tans came to Ireland to shoot up Ireland for their freedom wearing British uniforms, and they lost 2 of my uncles as a result, because 4 had to run out of Ireland. The history of Northern Ireland, the history of all Ireland, is a very serious matter. The British have always made the wrong policies on Northern Ireland. If you look at the floor, you see the glass. This is the image of broken lives in Northern Ireland. Actually, the truth is between the broken glass and where my feet stand on. How long Irish people have been standing on glass about the truth about Northern Ireland? Pause. When Ireland became free, it created another problem for Ireland, but not the worst problem. It became a civil war. There was a lot of political dust rising on both sides, and a lot of people died in the process. And one of the greatest Irishmen ever, and they made a film about him, Michael Collins. He was assassinated at Ballinabrack in County Cork. But I have a cousin. His name is Parl, but I can't remember his first name. And to this day, I don't know which side he was on during the Civil War, but he was hung in Wexford jail with 3 other people. And Parl of Clover Valley, and there's a song about him. And this is what keeps the cause of Ireland going. If you die for all Ireland, you'll end up in a song for the rest of your life, sung for thousands of years, all from one corner of the world to the other, because the Irish are everywhere. And that is a satisfactory settlement to be respected and remembered for dying for all Ireland, and this is the mentality of the Irish as regards freedom for Ireland. People don't give a shit about the Irish. People are ignorant about the Irish. We're kind of indifferent to this, because the Irish always stood on their own feet and they don't give a shit anyhow. We don't need anyone's support, because we've always been alone and we always had to do things alone. The battle about the British MI6 begins in this whole room, which is full of buzzshells and my calligraphy. An aspect of this is fading. It's like the invisible ink that British government policy has been with Ireland. All agreements written in visible ink. They never stick to their word. As I said, the battle of the truth about the British MI6 begins here. Fuck all use MI5 and MI6 cunts on Her Majesty's service. And we go down here, of course, all use fucking useless cunts chasing out innocent Irish skin on Her fucking Majesty's service. Fuck the lives of Her Majesty's service. Fuck it. I'll fuck it again. I wanted a job on the oil rigs, and I was out of work at the time, and I had a wife and family to support. We had 3 kids at the time. I used to be able to go on the ferries for nothing. I got a ride all the ways to London, and this guy gave me a tachograph book, you know. A tachograph book is a book which you take a page out and put it into a tachograph machine, and it records the journey of a lorry. When it stops, it proves its compulsory stops too, where it has to lay over before they start driving again and all that sort of thing. And I used to leave London at 6 o'clock at night, and I have this tachograph, And I was in Aberdeen 12 hours later, 700 miles away, and I do the same system coming down to London. I'd be going through Wales at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning in the winter time, and I put this tachograph book up, and a lorry driver would stop, and he thinks I'm a lorry driver, but he never took exception to me not being a lorry driver. I said I was a sailor, and that was just the same as far as lorry drivers are concerned, because since ships came into the ferry business, lorry drivers and sailors are connected like a family, more or less. And I was always wondering why I was not getting a job on the oil rigs, because I was well qualified for a job on the oil rigs. And one time I decided to go down to Havant, where I have an aunt near Portsmouth, to see her. And I got out of Guildford, Surrey, a very posh area of England, where a lot of rich people live. Even Getty lives there. Oliver Reed, a guy who always spent, a Welshman, a great actor who spent all his life trying to be an Irishman, because he hung out with Peter O'Toole and Richard Harris, and he ended up dying in Ireland in the end, you know. He lived in Guildford, Surrey at the time. And this police officer came up to me and said, "Excuse me, sir, do you know that you have been followed by the British MI5 for the past six weeks?" And I just told the cop, I said, "You know what you do? You go and tell the MI5s that I don't give a fucking shit, because I have nothing to do with the politics in Northern Ireland. And it's them people who followed me all the way into Aberdeen, wherever I went looking for a job, and stopped me from getting a job because the green skin on my back." I never forget, I wasn't allowed to work because of these people running the green off my back and try and inflict the green on my back into the guilt of my bones. And they chase on the Irish all the time this way, and they have their images around the world with their posh British accents, and more people believe the British than the Irish. I mean to say, I think Denmark squanders its time by finding the British as their first friends, where the offspring, the Irish, should be their first friends, as a matter of preference and justice. So, it'd be a good idea if ordinary Danish people investigate the situation in Ireland, because the government are always wrong. It's obscurity and drink with the court of St. James, while the Irish love the Queen of Denmark. Fuck the Queen of England! Oh, I'm very grateful for coming to Denmark, because when I came to Denmark, you know, I had time to find out my soul, which is supposed to be in retirement years. But what a lot of fucking bullshit. You know, let's straighten this fucking thing out. I'm supposed to be 67 years of fucking age. That's a lot of fucking crap, you know. I feel 36 backwards, and that's where it'll stay for the rest of my life. I have 32 and a half years to live, and I don't intend to die before I'm a fucking 100. Of course, mentality has a lot to do with this sort of thing. I have a very solid mentality, because I don't believe in fucking idleness. I don't have time to think of myself when I get up in the morning. Don't have time to think of myself when I go to fucking bed at night. I have so much to do. What Denmark has done for me, instead of coming from New York for retirement, you know, it's far different. I decided to become an Irish bum. I ended up with street kids in this place, 60 Rundmansgade, called Gathering. It was run by an outlaw psychologist who doesn't believe so much in the system. I think that was a great retreat for me to figure my head out after Thatcherism. That fucking Thatcherism has destroyed the fucking world fucking economy, you know. She came in with her shit when she got into power for the Thatcher years. She converted these important people to end up running countries like America and other places. And this corrupt challenge to the capitalist system has made Wall Street open games. It's still Thatcherism, and it hasn't all fallen yet. And I decided to write a speech against Thatcherism, you know. And her guilt is unending, no conclusion. Even if she's dead, we can still put the fucking bitch on trial for what she did in Northern Ireland. She extended the years of war in Northern Ireland by refusing to give concessions to the Irish hunger strikers. She's a brutal, out-and-out murderer, killer. She sent the police horses in on the miners. The British people don't like her. The Irish don't like her. Even her own family don't like her. Her daughter don't like her. So now the only means we have against Thatcher, my means, is put her on trial. Put her on trial and make a speech. This is midget writing, you see. I only can write midget writing, you know. And I'm going to have, it's going to take me 10 years. It's going to take me 9,000 pages of midget writing to write this Thatcher speech on End It. No conclusion. It will go some way to expose Margaret Thatcher, and that would be a good day's work. 9,000 pages of this in 10 years' time will be 27,000 pages of a book, and there'll still be no conclusion, because she was the worst fucking bitch England ever had in 10 Downing Street. History tells us that the Vikings married into the Celts, the Irish, for 400 years. That is a long relationship which ends up in family. The Irish are half Celt as a result of it. Half Viking, half Danish, because we're born with half fingers. Damn it! Why does the Danish government walk blindly, step in step with the British obscure policy on Ireland? Britain should not be your first and best friends. Your offspring, the Irish, your family comes above all. Your offspring, the Irish, should be your first policy on Ireland. And I think that the Danish people, who are an intelligent and educated race, should investigate this travesty of a bad policy towards Ireland, running down the line with the British. I may be obscure here, but my message is full of definition. And that British whore, Margaret Thatcher, Her grandmother was born in Dublin. Who in Ireland will say that they are related to Margaret Thatcher? Bad men meet Margaret Thatcher! You were the worst whore of them all! Whew.
Hey, what are you looking at? Hey man, it's dead. Come on, let's go home. Hey! Hey, let's go home. Come on. Hey, are you listening to me? Let's go home. Hey, what are you looking at?